Hello everyone and welcome back to. Today, we're diving into a cornerstone of economic thought, the classical theory of growth. This theory has shaped economics since the 18th century, with ideas from Adam Smith, David Ricardo, and Thomas Malthus. We'll cover its key concepts, assumptions, criticisms, and relevance in the modern economy. Let's jump right in. Section 1. Introduction to the classical theory of growth. The classical theory of growth emerged during the Industrial Revolution. Economists were witnessing rapid growth and wanted to understand what drives it. The theory's central focus is on labor, capital accumulation, technological change, and population growth as drivers of economic development. But it's rooted in specific assumptions that set it apart from modern theories. Section 2. Assumptions of classical theory. Classical economists operated under several key assumptions. First, they believed labor was the primary factor of production. As the population grows, labor supply increases, theoretically leading to greater productivity. Second, the theory assumes diminishing returns. The more we add labor or capital to a fixed amount of land, the less additional output we'll get from each new unit of input. This idea plays a big role in limiting growth under classical theory. Third, the theory assumes perfect competition, so no individual buyer or seller can set prices. Fourth, it assumes a closed economy with no significant impact from trade. And finally, minimal government intervention is a key tenet. Classical economists believed markets work best when left alone, allowing prices and wages to adjust naturally. Section 3. Core concepts of the classical theory of growth. Let's break down the main concepts. First, division of labor. Adam Smith emphasized the idea of productivity gains through specialization. When workers focus on specific tasks, they become more efficient, leading to greater economic output. Next, capital accumulation. According to Smith and Ricardo, savings fuel investment, which in turn drives growth. The more we save and reinvest, the more capital is available, which fuels economic expansion. Then, population growth and subsistence wages. Malthus famously theorized that population growth could outpace food production. According to him, population growth would eventually lead to increased resource demand, pushing wages down to a subsistence level, just enough to survive. Also, technological progress. Although classical economists didn't heavily focus on technology, they acknowledged it could temporarily boost productivity. However, they thought this effect would be short-lived due to diminishing returns. And finally, the law of diminishing returns. Ricardo and Malthus highlighted that as more labor or capital is added to fixed resources like land, each additional unit yields smaller productivity gains, limiting growth. Section 4. Criticisms of the classical theory of growth. While revolutionary for its time, the classical theory of growth has faced several criticisms. First, neglect of technological change. Critics argue that the classical model downplays the role of ongoing technological innovation. Later economists like Joseph Schumpeter argued that continuous innovation is essential for sustained economic growth. Then, fixed resource limitations. The theory assumes that resources, especially land, are limited. This doesn't hold up well in today's world where technology has made resource use more efficient and even created new resources. Next, population growth concerns. Malthus's idea that population growth would lead to widespread poverty didn't materialize. Technological advancements in agriculture and medicine have enabled populations to grow without severe shortages. Also, demand-side factors. The classical model focuses mostly on supply, labor and capital, and neglects demand-driven growth, which modern economists see as vital. Finally, market equilibrium assumptions. The theory assumes markets always reach equilibrium, self-correcting through wage and price adjustments. Modern economics shows that markets can be prone to persistent unemployment or inflation, challenging this assumption. Section 5. Relevance in the modern era. So, what does the classical theory of growth mean for us today? First, labor productivity and specialization. The concept of productivity gains through labor specialization still holds true. We see this in advanced manufacturing, where specialized tasks lead to more efficient production processes. Next, capital accumulation. Capital investment is still a major driver of growth, particularly in developing economies. Savings and reinvestment fuel industrialization and infrastructure expansion, just as the classical economists predicted. Then, diminishing returns. While technology has helped mitigate diminishing returns, this concept is still relevant in areas like natural resource extraction, where overuse can lead to reduced productivity. Also, sustainable resource use. Classical ideas about resource constraints have gained new importance in discussions about environmental sustainability. Economists today worry about balancing growth with finite resources. Next, global population dynamics. Malthus's concerns about resource scarcity and overpopulation have resurfaced in modern debates on climate change and environmental impact. Finally, supply-side policies. Classical ideas remain influential in today's supply-side economics, which advocates for tax cuts and deregulation to stimulate investment and productivity. Conclusion. To sum it up, the classical theory of growth laid the foundation for understanding economic growth. While it has limitations, its insights into labor, capital, and resource use remain relevant. Modern economics has expanded on these ideas, focusing more on innovation, technology, and demand-side factors. But the classical principles still inform many aspects of economic policy and growth theory today. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more insightful economic